5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I hate when he does that. I haven't told him that yet. I think I just did, actually. I know there was a method to the madness, but you know.
First down.
I know, man. I'm just
All right,
giving you a hard
fellas,
time.
you guys are on camera. You're rolling.
All right.
I don't know nobody else that's doing this.
Welcome to the AWOL Report, episode 7. We're sitting here today with Mr. Dave Bagchi. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great.
All right, glad to hear. So I don't know why, but when I came in today, I expected to get a tour of like this big trophy room. But then I remember, you said that you're not big on trophies. So do you have a trophy room?
I do not have a trophy room. I do have a glass case, I admit, where we keep some of the bigger championships, things that were a little bit more important,
Okay, well, I want to make sure we at least get a picture of that.
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right,
we just added to that this weekend. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll get to that. I definitely want to ask you about that. So
I'm not that humble. Humble. I try to be humble. It is about the kids, but it's nice when you look at those. There's a lot of good memories.
Sure, absolutely, and that's what it's all about. It's about the memories.
Yeah.
So, Dave, let's talk about how you got your start in youth sports.
Absolutely. So 2010, my oldest was 4 or 5 at the time. He started playing sports, played soccer first, Little League Baseball. We were at Arizona Cardinals game versus the Packers, the one where Kurt Warner and Aaron Rodgers dueled. And my son was 4 at the time, and he stood on my lap and he yelled first down on every throw, every completion. I was like, man, this kid loves football. So I heard about a flag football league, and I was like, well, that's great. So I signed him up, and I got to coaching, and I tried to apply some of the things that I feel his previous coaches had done that worked, and then some things that I thought I would do better. And I just felt like while this gentleman did a great job, he wasn't really coaching for the weaker kids. He was kind of just coaching for the better kids. And you'd see this soccer game where we'd win 9-0 and his son would score 8 goals. And my son's over here picking grass. So I just felt like, if you gave him a role, you're going to have a better team. So everybody's got something to bring to the table. Everybody. I've never had a young man in my program that didn't have something to bring to the table. So, to me, it was like I wanted to just improve on what I experienced.
So what'd you do? You put a team together and started your own flag season? Or?
Yeah, so, Primetime was growing. We were actually, I think, the 2nd season ever of Primetime. And we put our model in place, and by the 2nd season, we were just killing it. I mean, kids were performing at a really high level, and our model was working, and word was spreading, and parents wanted us to have multiple teams right away. And the turning point for me was I had a young man who was a great player. His parents were really into sports, and he played for a very, very expensive club soccer program in town. And the mom came up to me and said, the training my son gets with you in practice is better than the training he gets at this soccer program. We spend $600 a month. And that was when I realized that I should be monetizing what I'm doing, because if you're good at something, you should never give it away for free. Sure. Never. And so when that parent lit the spark, which immediately made me think, okay, how do I begin to monetize the value that I'm bringing while also not being greedy and making sure that these families can afford it and never turning a kid away, right? So you start to add all these things up. You create a nonprofit division so that you don't have to say no to somebody, but that you also don't undervalue yourself,
sure.
Right? And that was really the genesis of Team Impact. The genesis of Team Impact was literally P90X out in the park every Saturday morning with 20, 25, 30 kids, myself, a couple of coaches that helped me start the program. And we would just be out there doing workouts with these kids. And then I'd hear back, my son scored 3 touchdowns in his flag game. Yeah, because now he's worried about his speed. My son pulled 10 flags. Yeah, because now he knows how to break down. And nobody was teaching them this stuff, right? So that's how it started. Then we still had our rec team, but back then, Team Impact, the first 3 years, was not involved on the travel flag circuit. They were just behind the scenes. This would have been 2013, 14. 2012, 13, 14.
So you've been around for a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the turning point, actually, Tracy, was 2014. We go to Flagstaff, the popular primetime flag tournament.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we play what was one of the great teams you'll ever see. It was this 10U Tucson Turf squad. Trayson was QB, Mike Masunis. They were killing everybody. And we go into this tournament, and there's us, there's the Dolphins that just started, Gilbert Colts. But we were bringing our rec team. That was a dominant rec team. We were always winning our rec division, right? They murdered us. I mean, they murdered us 19-0, but here was the funny part, Tracy. At the end of the game, I turned to the players and I said, y'all played as good as you could have played, and you lost 19-0. And that was the closest game they probably had. I don't think that turf team gave up a point that tournament. They might have to the Colts. But we played the best we could have played. And that was when we decided, okay, we're going to take this Team Impact thing and brand the team and shift it around and get into the competitive game. So that fall, we were the top team in our league. The second team was really, really good as well. The coaches, we all got together at Yard House, and we said, look, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to these tournaments come spring. We're going to elevate these kids from rec to tournaments, and we're going to find those teams that murdered us, and we go beat them, right? And so we took the best of our rec team and the best of their rec team, merged them, and I remember we went out to Tucson for a tournament that spring. We took 8U and 10U. We went 14-0, won both championships, and it just kind of that was really the start,
Having went through it myself, I know this flag football can be addictive. I mean, once you get into it, and okay, it's fun to see your kid grow, but when you start seeing the competition, it just grabs a hold of you.
God. And there's levels to this stuff.
There's levels, that's right.
A crazy story, like we were out in Boston this weekend, the team did really well, right? Our 8U. And we had all these people coming up to us, man, how long has this team been together? What you feeding these boys? I'm like, I stopped and I go, look, I'm just gonna speak to you honestly. 2 months ago, this team, we were in San Diego and got mercied in the championship game. And they all looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, there's levels to this stuff. There's levels to this stuff. And if the second you think you've got it, you don't, So, for us, it's like, man, it's always been like this.
Right.
You're never going to just stay at the top.
No.
Unless you recruit, but that's a whole other story, right? Which we've never done that,
Of course not.
I mean, in our own way, right? So, I'll tell you though, tell me if you agree. I think the reason people love flag is, you ever seen kids soccer? You ever seen kids baseball?
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible to watch, I'm talking about. You ever seen kids tackle? It's terrible to watch. Kids flag is fun to watch.
It is.
They're doing stuff that you can follow, and it looks like the stuff you're watching on TV. So I think the rise of flag football really comes from the fact that the adults enjoy watching the game because they understand what's going on. It's easy to follow, and it looks good. Versus these other kids sports, like, they're not as fun to watch. I honestly, I think that's a huge reason why flag took off. A lot of people say, oh, it's the concussions, and no. No, flag's been around forever, man. No. Yeah, they still play tackle football. Youth tackle numbers are up, actually, again. It's not that. It's the game is attractive to watch.
Yeah, and also, I think you see the growth from your kid missing flags to becoming a star flag puller, So just being able to watch him go from the beginning
Yeah.
You know, I've always been a big fan of starting teams from its genesis, which is
Yeah.
some 6
Yeah,
years.
you have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We're building right now with West Valley Elite. You know, 6U. We're starting over. So when you go out and you build teams, obviously you get a whole different ballgame, a whole different dynamic. You know, we won't even get into that, but you know, I love flag, and you know, I'm not surprised that it's still around. And I'm glad to see, you know, after the COVID and everything is happening, that it is making a resurgence with NFL flag. You know, I like what they're doing with reigning champs. So, you know, we're just watching.
And you know, it's really fun to see all these flag kids that were the best players when we started 2014, 2015, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
They're all getting Division I, Division II offers.
Yeah.
They're getting meal tickets to play college. So it's not like they went to tackle and, oh, you're a flag kid, and no. Like, they not only translated, they stayed on the top of their game, because it wasn't ever about their skills. It was about their mindset. Those kids were taught at a young age how to work hard, right? How to listen, toughness. Think about some of the things you said to kids 6, 7, 8 years old on a sideline. Where else are they ever hearing that? Now, some parents will look at that as yelling, but you know, I'll give you a classic example. This weekend I had a situation where I was aggressively saying to a young man, you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta do this. This is your moment to shine. Be a dude, you've got this. Because I've coached this young man forever, and I know what he's capable of. Well, the parents who are 50 yards away thought I was yelling at him, because he had tears in his eyes, and I was trying to build him up. Right? And so these things happen in flag football. You're so close to the field, you're so close. See, when they're little and they're playing soccer, you're not really coaching them. You're coaching them in practice, but there's not much you can do in a game. Basketball is the same way. I tried calling plays in a basketball game with 8, 9-year-olds. They're not. I mean, we practiced the same pick play for 2 years. We never ran it once in a game, right? But football, we control it.
Yeah.
We puppeteer it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a control element that we love as adults. Oh, we didn't lose because little Johnny's not very good. We lost because coach didn't call that play, right? Or the ref screwed us on that call.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows if you leave the game close, the calls are gonna happen.
Yeah.
If you don't leave the games close, the ref puts the flag in his pocket and never calls nothing. You know, it's like the refs aren't out to try to get anybody. You know, they just know if it's a close game, they got to call it closer. You know.
Well, you know, that leads to a conversation that I've had with several coaches about the culture of flag football. I mean, it has its own culture. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
And so, like, these parents, they spend astronomical amounts of money traveling.
Yeah.
For us, you know, mainly like up and down the West Coast, California, Nevada.
Crazy.
I mean, it's just, it is a way of life.
You know, years ago, someone told me the reason soccer is an international sport is because it doesn't take much. 2 goals and a ball. Flags the same way. Just take some flags, a ball. That's it. It's not like tackle, you need all this equipment. Lacrosse, basketball, you need. Football can be a cheap sport, so that by nature will allow it to grow, right? But you talk about flag culture. I think flag is the we. It's a much broader culture. Like, there's more diversity, there's more openness, there's more morale building and teamwork and positivity, and so when you talk about the flag culture, I think it's special.
I agree.
Because I think no matter who you are, your ethnicity, your race, your income level, like you said, you can have an amazing flag experience. You could be part of a strong flag team,
Sure. Yeah.
right? I hope Sevens goes there. I hope Sevens looks at flag and goes, look, as we go to expand to the younger ages, let's learn from what flag has done and not look at tackle. Let's look at flag and build our culture based on that versus the opposite.
So I kind of agree with you, except for, the flag has a father, for lack of a better term, which is the NFL. So
Yes.
it's for the most part governed by NFL flag. So they have the rules, they have their etiquette, and it kind of follows the way that NFL rolls.
Dude, you're so smart, man. You're right. You're nailed it, man. Like I mean that, but you're like, yeah, you got me going right there. You're right, because it's like the sevens landscape is a little bit more open, and so these guys like battle come in. These guys
It's still in its infancy stages in defensive sevens. It's still early, right?
You're right.
So right now, most coaches have a healthy respect for flag, meaning they don't let their kids come out there with all the bells and whistles. But in sevens, I think it's a little bit of a way for kids to be able to kind of let their hair down a little bit.
See, I think most parents completely understand the flag game. I think most parents have no clue what the sevens game is. Like, I think they're so confused. They just see play. They think it's about highlights and, because you don't return the pick. The game just kind of goes at the end.
Isn't that the beauty of it, though?
Oh, I love the sevens game. I love it. I love especially sevens. For skills development.
Absolutely. And the big field. I mean, it's
got its place. It's its own sport.
So do you see the natural progression? And I've asked this question to everybody. Do you believe in from flag to sevens to tackle, or from flag to tackle?
Yeah.
What is your take?
So the roadmap is huge to me. And that's what I get asked the most by parents. What's my kid's roadmap? Mm-hmm. That roadmap is important. I think the important thing is when they transition from flag to tackle. It doesn't matter whether it's 7-on-7. It doesn't matter whether it's going into a club flag program and getting a little bit more intense coaching or more competition. I look at it like steps on a ladder, okay? So if you're starting in flag and your ultimate goal is to maybe step on the field as a high school freshman and be a starter, you're gonna need something along that way that's gonna push you in terms of mindset and physicality, all right? Now, if you wanna supplement flag football with MMA fighting, you don't need tackle. If you wanna supplement it with boxing, you don't need to go play 7-on-7. But you need to add something along your journey before you get to high school where you get your butt kicked, where somebody's gonna punch you in the mouth and you gotta get up. And you cannot enter high school a whiner. You cannot enter with a mindset of, I deserve this, or I'm entitled, or this should be easy. You've got to go into high school knowing this game is hard. Somehow you gotta get humbled at this game. Humbled physically, right? It would be great to see these boys go from flag to 7-on-7, right? And then tackle. That seems like the natural progression. But the problem is sevens gets younger. From an org standpoint, you're going to sacrifice flag. So you got to be careful on that roadmap. So what I always say to parents is like, look, whatever they're going to need to do that, whether it's going in a 7-on-7 game and having a 6'3", 12-year-old moss you and everybody go like this and dance over you. I'm going to give you a classic example. I loved it. So I think everybody would agree this year that the unit had the best 12 and under 7-on-7 team probably in the country. All right. And I loved when our boys played them. We got to play them twice, and the second time they really murdered us. I mean, it was a blowout game. I loved watching my corner, this young man named Jaden Harper, who I love him to death, but he's so quiet and he's so shy. And he's only played flag. And he thinks he's pretty good, right? And I love when he was playing corner and the unit kid went up over him and caught it. And then the whole unit team went over him and started doing this. And all our parents were like pissed. I loved it. Jaden was sitting there like head down. All these kids are trying to embarrass him. I loved it. Everyone was like, you don't do that. I was like, you do that. Why? Because to me, I was looking at Jaden and I go, how's he going to respond to this? That young man the last 6 months has transformed himself. I remember I took him aside to put my arm around him. I go, it ain't about what just happened, it's what's next.
Right, okay.
He is one of the fastest young men. He's 12U. His mindset's toughened. His attitude strengthened. He's ready to go. He's ready to go. Now, like if he said to me, next year I'm going to go play high school freshman football, I'm like, you ready, Jaden? You ready? Right? Before that? Oh, hell no.
I'm surprised, to hear you say that, because I remember talking to another coach who we know very well, and he's not a fan of any of that. And
the taunting stuff you're talking about?
See, there's that word, right?
Yeah.
I don't call it taunting.
I don't either.
I call it competitiveness.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. Now, if you're doing it with the intent to humiliate the kid, I mean, there's a little bit of that in it, but I don't think that overall that's what it is. I think it's just the culture of sevens. So
right.
If you notice, they've changed the rules a little bit. They'll let you do all that.
Yeah.
But what they won't let you do is touch the kid. The minute you touch the kid, that's it.
Right. So I want to clarify. I have no problem with it. Like, I'll say it right on camera. I got a problem. Here's why. It's freaking real life.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing it publicly or you believe in it inside, you just dogged that kid. You own him. Whether you're going to do it in a verbal way or you're not, either way, that kid's already feeling bad. He's already feeling bad. So you know what? Sucker up, Buttercup. Like, stand up, man. Look, that's real life. You're going to lose your job. You're going to break up with a girlfriend. You're going to have heartbreak. You're going to get bad grades. Like, wake up, man. Like, no, I support it. Like, I love it because to me, it's like, okay, parents, this is why you signed up for this. You need your kid to go through this.
Right.
It's part of what comes out, the butterfly at the end of the cocoon, right? It's like you gotta let this ride out. And I know it's a gut punch, right? When it's your kid. I've been there, man. I watched my son play quarterback in hard count in 2017 against a 12U team, and they were getting to him with the blitz even though we were winning the game, and the coach's wife yelled, "Sack that scrub," and she was talking about my son. I've been there on the sideline, and immediately my mind went to racism and all these places, all these nasty places, but all I kept thinking in the back of my head is, oh, this is the best thing in the world for him. Let's see how he responds, right? Well, they won the game, so he responded just fine, right? So it's like, I think you gotta somehow detach your emotions in that situation. I think the reason you ever notice that the people who complain about taunting are the ones who lost? Like,
There's indirect correlation there, I'm sure.
Like you never hear a parent come up to you and be like, "Hey, yeah, I know we won the championship, but we gotta talk to the kids about not being so cocky." No, everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid when you're taunting. I was embarrassed about our freshman middle school team. We were playing a sevens tournament. We were playing against Lanza and the Queen Creek Broncos, and they beat us multiple times, and we were having a good game. And the kids started acting like fools when they scored a touchdown. I was like, "Where's your humbleness, man?" These guys have beaten you twice already, and you're happening to have a good game, and so you're up. So you're gonna try to act like what you saw on Instagram. So for me, I see it like, okay, if you're on the other side, I'm glad because you experienced it. When you're on the side of it, I probably wouldn't promote it, and the reason why is I think it usually backfires. Like, I think if you playing a team that's dogs, like the Broncos, they were dogs. So they respond. We going up 21-7. They came back and won, and their coach will tell you flat out it's because our kids were taunting them, right? And I saw it absolutely, 100%. But that's the culture of it. It's fun. It's no different than you and I talking smack over beers in a fantasy football league, right?
Sure.
And as long as the kids grasp that, right? And they do, man. All the best players, whether they play for Unit or Turf or Impact or this team, when they go to a camp, they all shaking each other's hands.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they play on the same team. They're in the same line. Oh, I always wanted to catch for that quarterback. Oh, I always wanted to throw to that receiver. They get it. And I think Jaden's a perfect example, like the young man I told you about. Like, everybody in the world thought it was unfair except him. he realized what was going on and he stepped up from it, right? So you don't have to, it's not about spite and revenge and all. It's about how are you going to use it to fuel yourself, right? Because now you just got a reality check, right?
And it's the coach's job really to say what you're saying. Hey, you're going to get your turn.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about it? You're going to just let that happen?
Dude, I remember my son was playing 8U against Tucson Turf. We were a rec team. This was at a tournament. And I don't think he had ever thrown a pick in a rec league game. And he threw these 2 hitch and goes as far as he could, and they were like 15 yards. This turf kid just picks it, man amongst boys, twice in a row. I remember this was 2013. And again, it's like, of course your heart breaks for your kid. Of course you want to jump to excuses. Oh, receiver didn't run his route. Oh, I shouldn't have called that play. No. You know what? No. Coaches don't win games. Players win games. Coaches coach kids. Coaches coach players. Coaches prepare you. Players win games. You know, when we won the national championship in 2017, I always tell people in the semis we were losing to YFFA. They had the ball with a chance to milk the clock and finish the game. They were up. If they got the first down, the game's over. There was a play the kid ran, and our kid pulled his flag by that much and stopped the first down. That much. And we got the ball back, went down, tied the game, went to overtime and won. And then we dominated in the championship game. That was our only close game of that tournament, but we could have lost in the semis. That much, right? Players win games.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. You kind of stepped out of the competitive flag football arena around 2018-ish? Is that about right?
That's about right.
What led to you starting to get that competitive bug again?
Yeah. So you're very observant. So when we won the national championship in 2017, and then after that I saw the team fall apart, it hit me in the back of my head that if we're going to be this operation where we're developing these kids and we're trying to teach them the right things and we're trying to also turn this into a business, that winning competitive flag tournaments was not going to help that. In fact, if anything, it might hurt that. So I lost my spirit for the competitive side of it for a couple of reasons. Number one is I was losing money on competitive, and number two is even when a team went 3 years and went all the way to the mountaintop, then they broke apart. And so that really killed my soul, you know, and I lost kids and relationships that I'd had for years. So I was like, I'm not gonna do it that way. So I also noticed that the flag world was changing. It was getting more and more competitive, and there was a lot more recruiting going on. I know that because some of my kids have been recruited, right? So I thought to myself, do I want to play that game? And my answer was no. And because it didn't make sense, because when you start playing that game, you're not going to make money. I actually wanted to get into coaching. So that year I started Coach the Coaches.
I remember.
And instead of building these teams, I was kind of behind the scenes helping Omar and the Predators, helping Olafson and the Ball Hawks, helping some of these groups. And where it kind of shifted was, and this was a lesson, I had to go through it, but I learned it. I turned around last year and this year and I realized I wasn't getting any young kids coming into the program. So it was affecting my business. Again, we're a business. Let's not shy from that. It's okay. It's okay to talk money and kids, all right? It's okay, all right? Yes, we deserve to get compensated for it, absolutely. My time is valuable. And I think what got under my skin was not a negative thing. I was motivated seeing Omar do his thing. I was motivated seeing T. Hill do his thing.
So you're saying you can't have it all is what you're saying?
I'm saying I'm trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure it out, okay.
I would love to sit with Toby and ask him how he's been able to sustain. I do think he would have to admit part of it is having sons at different ages, which has helped him. For me, it's like my oldest is out of the game, and he's doing, he's done, and my younger ones aren't into it, and I don't. It's not, like I said, football is not life for me, right? So I do think that's part of it, but I also think he's figured out a model where he's able to sustain the excellence throughout the different ages. And I'm really, really impressed by that.
Sure.
Because like he can go to a tournament and you know if it's a turf team, it's going to be good. Doesn't matter if it's 8U high school varsity.
You know, one thing I want to tell you, I was a little bit jealous of. I saw a post you made earlier this year, and you announced that you were leaving your job. I don't know if that meant retirement, but you were putting all your efforts into Team Impact.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, how gratifying was it to be able to just go and this is what you wake up to every day?
It took a while, man, to build the courage to do it. There was a point in 2016-17 where I was almost there. The genesis of it wasn't just wanting Team Impact to be a full-time career. It actually was, you know, I have a brand marketing background for 20-something years. I signed Chris Paul to his first contract, Kevin Durant to his first contract. I worked with the Phoenix Suns, the NFL. I've had lunch with Larry Fitzgerald over sushi. I launched Tide to Go Stand Pen. Like I have this illustrious, long background in marketing. All right, I graduated from the #1 business school in the country. I've been taught how to think STI, strategy, tactics, implementation, in everything I do, even buying a car. Okay. It came to a point, I think around 2014, where I started to not enjoy my job. So what happened was, when you don't enjoy what you're doing, whether you like it or not, your salary starts to go down. And I wanted to make excuses, but the real truth of it was I wasn't putting my soul into my work. And when I don't put my best into my work, you're gonna know it's gonna be terrible. So it came to a point where part of it, Tracy, was me saying, I have to make a choice. So I had to sit down and come up with revenue streams. So the key revenue stream was a part of our program called Team Impact Select. And a very dear friend of mine sat me down and we talked, and he said, you're undervaluing yourself. And he helped me come up with a revenue stream that would really help protect me from like, okay, well, if this clinic didn't work or this team didn't work, where it was all about one-on-one athlete management, concierge service with certain kids, families that had the income. You want to speak, coach? Irwin Jones, Bobcats, one of the best in the country. Kenyana Wilson, Rising Sun, one of the best in the country. You want a strength coach? Marcus Pittman. Chad E.K., who's the legend, the GOAT of strength training, powerlifting. You want a quarterback trainer? You got Donovan McNabb. You got Mike Giovanno. It didn't matter to me who they want, because I have relationships with all of them, and I'm going to take care of them. They deserve to be taken care of. They're training these individuals. I'm not taking a cut. I'm giving them the money they would have paid these guys anyways. But from the parent standpoint, it's one stop. So at the beginning of the month, the parent pays me, and I handle everything. I'm paying those coaches, I'm scheduling everything. So this is called Team Impact Select. And I only have the bandwidth to do 8 kids at a time. I'm incredibly proud of Expanse. I'm incredibly proud of the community around it, the trainers, the opportunity to bring this vision to life. For years, I've not only experienced, but I've heard the complaints that people have with flag leagues. And flag leagues are great. I mean, look, I started in the flag league as a coach. My son played many years. But the issues were consistent. You know, there's daddy ball, there's the loaded teams versus the scrub teams that never break through. What team is my kid going to be on? League owners are worried about retention. There's issues with finding good fields. There's issues with finding a schedule. When's my game supposed to be Saturday? Referees, all these things, right? So for years, I just sort of played it through in my mind. What would an ideal league environment that had Impact's name on it look like? Because it's got to be different. It's blue ocean, right? Like if I swim and feed where all the sharks swim and feed, it's all going to be red ocean, right? I'm going to go find the blue ocean, right? So you can't find the blue ocean unless you listen to your customers, all right? So with Expanse, you've got, these athletes sign up. Monday they show up. The trainers are set up. They've all got their stations, and it's all athletic fundamentals. And every kid, whether it's your son, Tracy, who's at the top of his game for his age, or it's that kid who's just starting off, they're all getting the same
level of training. Now, of course, if it's your son, he's maybe more advanced, he's going to get pushed a lot more. Or he's going to be in a group with the kids his age, of course, right? But they're in these stations and they're going through all this athletic training, all hired coaches, no dads coaching their kid.
Right.
Tuesday, they show up, same setup, except instead of athletic foundational movements, it's all football. There's the flag station, there's the route running station, there's the quarterback station, there's the linebacker station, there's the running back station, there's the safety station, there's the corner break station. Rotating through. Now they're developing the football skills. So they got the fundamentals, athletically, the foundation, right? Trust in your foundation, and then your football skills. Then Friday they show up, and this is where the nervous part was for me.
Okay.
There's not going to be any refs. You're going to have a new coach. You're going to have a new team. You might have a stud on your team, but then you might also have a kid who's never played before on your team. But you're going to be empowered. If you want to play a position, tell the coach. You want to play quarterback, tell the coach. You want to call your own play, tell the coach. I have sat the coaches and trainers down and said, this is how you manage these games. This is not a competitive tournament, but it's also not rec. So you're going to start the game, you're going to play everybody, you get them all a chance. The teams are small, 5, 6 kids, so it's not worried about playing time. But, the clock starts winding down at the end of the game, it's winning time, right? Like, clock starts, and kids want to win. So every week, every Friday, that division has 4 teams. They play in a mini tournament, semis, final, and losers play, winners play. Boom. Next week, a whole different squad. So that's what we're trying to do with it, man. I hope it takes off. I really do.